Hey everybody, Dave Webster, Identity Crisis Design. I completed a fairly large project the other day, and I got to work on this really nice Hudson Henry J gasser. The initial picture that is here that you see was sent to me over Facebook, and I went into Illustrator and blocked out the door. You can see there's a kind of a gray area there, and laid out some text and a simple cartoon with some of the other design elements that the customer had in mind. And this is basically just to get the ball rolling conceptually, because I knew there was going to be some communication going back and forth and more refining of the idea. So one of those was that the cartoon that they wanted on the car was going to be a cartoon of the car in a Ratfink style design. In other words, a big mutant fist coming out, with a shifter, and but they wanted to have the car and a character together, and that would be put on the door. So that's what I did. And you can see it here using Procreate on my iPad, which allows you to, it just records everything that you do. I cartooned the car itself and then put a greaser character popping out the top, yanking on a shifter knob and a steering wheel, and then brought this cartoon into Illustrator so that I could path it out. Now initially this was meant for different design ideas that I could send back and forth. So when I communicate with my customer, I want to be able to show them, I think this is going to work, I don't think that's going to work. And what we ended up with was a design that the words on the cartoon would go on the door. And then you can see here I'm just basically showing you how Illustrator works. This is a vector graphic that eventually gets turned into a vinyl mask that you can see here, so that I can sort of mop in or stencil in all of the black and white artwork, essentially making a coloring book page for myself. That way I can flip it over, cut another mask, and have the exact same, very, very, almost exactly the same picture on either side of the door, on either side of the car rather. And once that's done, pull it off. And just to keep in mind that shop space that I was using is right across the street from my 8-hour-a-day gig. So it was, get up in the morning, go paint, go to work, leave work, go paint, go home, go to bed, get up, go paint, go to work, get out of work, go paint. And I did that for about 2 weeks with one break in the middle. I had a previous engagement out of town, which was a lot of fun. I'll have a video about that later. But here it is. It's the coloring book effect. We're coloring in Henry, adding some highlights, and along the way, I believe there's cleanup of the black line art. By the time you're done putting all the color in, your black line art is going to need to be refreshed again. But the nice thing about having the mask, it saves so much time, because you don't have to think about drawing it. It's already been done, and it isn't original. You're just not mass producing it, but producing it twice, exactly on either side. And for that, for the mapping it at, or mopping in the black, I used hot hues, Axalta hot hues, created by our good friend Paul Quinn over there at Design Brilliance. Because it dries fast, I was able to do a lot more work on top of it, and not have to worry about smudging my black while I was doing the other colors over top of it. So if I went outside the lines, I could use a little paint pusher and correct tiny tiny mistakes and not have to worry about affecting my black line art. This is very rather robust stuff. And so here I am coloring in the. Honestly, the paint on this car was pretty unique. There was a nice pearly flake on the brown that gave it a nice coppery color. And of course, there's no way I'm going to be able to reproduce that with conventional pinstriping paint, but I was able to come close. So, putting some smoke on the tires. I'm trying to harken back to those T-shirts that you would have seen in the 1970s with the Von Dutch, not the Von Dutch, the Big Daddy Roth mutants and stuff, with the nasty looking. You can see like where I'm putting like little cracks in the fingernails just to give it a little bit more craziness. This is a fun project, and I took pictures at the end of every day so that my customer knew exactly how far I had gotten. Deadline was an issue here. It was something that needed to be done before the 8th for the Columbus Goodguys show, the 8th of July. And because I had never done a project this big before, and scrambling for time. I work full time and I do this on the side. And being a project this big, I had no idea exactly how long it was going to take me to get it finished. And one of the things I truly regret is all the times, because I'm not used to setting up a camera. The whole idea that I would have a phone dedicated to, or a camera at all, but a camera on the old iPhone dedicated just to recording what I'm doing. It's not yet a habit for me to set it up and get it ready to record before I do anything. The first thing I want to do is get out the paints and start painting, and I would be a couple of strokes in or more before I was like, oh crap, I didn't set up the phone, and stop and then do that. So there's a few design elements in this video that we don't get to see being made because I'm just not used to it. Now this here I love. This is an electro pounce. This is actually how I did the Hustlin Henry lettering on the side of the car. But again, not setting up the phone, not being used to having a camera right there. So I used the part that I did remember, the graphic that goes along the back of the car, and I wanted to record this so you guys could see the how this works. The electro pounce basically uses electricity to burn little holes through paper, through your template. And then you use that template as a pounce pattern, and you put some chalk through there. There's some construction chalk inside this pounce pad. And then once that's done, there it leaves an image. And that's how you know where to paint. Now this here is a glue. It's called Size. And for those of you who've seen the Lesson in Gold Leaf video, you'll know what this is. There's a little bit of black in there so that I can see what I'm doing, and I put that little swatch of glue above the N and the O there so that I can use it for testing to find out when the glue is dry enough to start gilding, and that way I don't have to touch my actual letters. And here some time has passed, about 45 minutes to an hour. I put a little catalyst to the clear that I'm going to be using to clear over this. I put a little of that catalyst in the Size, which does two things. It helps it not react to the clear that I brush over it, and it also allows it to dry a little bit faster. And right here I'm using my Spinster gold leaf turning tool. This is a tool that I produce and send out to anybody who wants to order it. I'll leave a link in the description. But it's basically, it's a screwdriver extension. It fits into any automatic screwdriver, and it's got a little piece of velvet on the end. You can use it on 24 karat gold. You can use it on real gold, or you can use it on composite leaf. I got this gold from the good people at goldenleafproducts.com. I'll leave a link to them into the description. It should be pointed out, I really had an awesome time dealing with this company. When I first ordered the gold for this, I made the mistake of ordering loose leaf, not patent leaf, and the product ended up getting sent out before it literally hit me in the middle of the night while I was on lunch at my job, that I had ordered the wrong stuff. But Lauren down there, he took care of everything, and it was a great conversation. I'm going to be dealing with these guys in the future. Made it real easy to make that switch, and they got me the right stuff. And I just want to make sure that the guys at Golden Leaf Products got a shout out. Really saved my ass. And this font is from a vintage font bundle. I really like it for this project. It fits the age of the car. It is, we would call that period correct. So the same technique that you see here was used on the doors, putting down the size, using the pounce pattern, but in this case I drew over the pounce pattern with a water-soluble pencil because I knew that I was going to have to come in here and blow dust off and do some tack ragging. It's a body shop, there's dirt and dust, you have to tack rag everything. And here I'm using the Spinster turning tool solution once again. This is such a big project that my little Craftsman electric screwdriver actually ran out of battery, and I had to borrow another one from somebody else in the shop, something that had a little bit more of a robust battery life. I liked it so much I started doing an Amazon search for how I could get another one of my own. Of course, this is sped up a little bit because I've only got so much to say about adding highlights to letters here. And this is just a little something I wanted to do to help add some interest to what would otherwise be a mundane outline. And then a repeated paint mask technique to get me started with the V8 again. Is this something that I would be able to do freehand? Of course. But time is an issue here, and anything that I can do to help move that along is going to, it's going to be something that I go for. And that's basically a chrome effect. Of course, I didn't want to just mop in everything that was going to I could have come in with every single one of these things with a vinyl cut mask, but where is the fun in that? Where it was necessary, I did it. Where it wasn't necessary, I wanted it to have the hand-painted look. So I was trying to be as judicious as I could with using the computer only when necessary. And you'll see here, this actually I had to do twice. Because there was a discrepancy in the spelling of Jess's, and which I was happy for because I didn't like the way it turned out the first time anyways, misspellings regardless. So I was happy to get another shot at it. Doing a script is one of those things that just it feels so good when you're doing it the right way. Of course, here we're just coloring some stuff in, and then did I need to add a beveled effect to this? No, but again, it's one of those things just like there's nothing about this car that is bland. Why should anything about the artwork that's going on this car be bland? There's what's the fun in that? So we added some shadow, and then I added some highlight, and you'll see in the next segment of super fast painting here. I tried to mess with an adjustment layer in Premiere so that you guys could see it a little bit better. And that way it doesn't seem like it's wasted time. But I had a lot of fun doing this part too. While I'm rewatching this, I'm remembering like the portions of the job that I did while there was other people in the shop, and the portions of the job that I did while I was there at like 1:30 to 4 o'clock in the morning, and there was nobody around. And not that I don't like people, but there's a completely different aspect to. I've got my earbuds. I've got a book. I think I was listening to the Fellowship of the Rings on audiobook. I was listening to some Thomas Sowell. Listening to Basic Economics. I have to give my brain something else to do besides paint, and So here I added some extra color at the top of just a speed shop and a couple of more highlights to the 383 cubic inch. And here I'm using the Powder Lines template. Now this is after the Built Not Bought has been clear coated and dried. I don't have to worry about sticking anything to anything. That's also a product that I've invented, and I do market. There will be a link in the description. I'll use it here. And all it is something to help you keep your middle in the middle. Use this pounce bag, and you get your lines on there, so you know where. It helps you keep your symmetry. So. Right, and as far as my color choices on this, while I was doing work on the white part of the car, I felt like the blues would be a nice contrast to the brown, but give it some excitement. But then when I got onto this coppery brown, what do? I felt like it was best to match the color that you'd see on the bumper and the wheels. Not everything is like super shiny. It's a very interesting texture and color that's on the front end of this car, and I wanted to bring some of that color and some of the color of the blues that I had put on the white. And that's where I came up with my color decisions. I don't ever really like to fight against what's going on with the creation that is being presented to me. Somebody already created something, and I'm trying to complement it. I'm not trying to compete with it. And one of the things that I still find challenging, I'm going to have to get better at this, is camera placement. If I put it over my left shoulder, I get in the way and you can't see what's going on. If I put it over my right shoulder, my hand gets in the way and you can't see what's going on. There's got to be a better way to do this. I spent enough time editing so that you could see as many of the strokes that I'm putting down. Like here is okay because you can see the brush and you can see the stroke. But there's too many places where, and it's not something that you can really be conscious of and do decent work. At some point while I'm doing this, I know that the camera's there, but I still have to ignore it because in the end it's about this finished product for the customer. If I don't get a good angle, I guess so be it, and I'll figure out later how best to do that. Maybe invest in some other equipment. There are portions of this paint job that I honestly didn't get on camera because there was a point where I get out of work, I go across the street to the shop, and it was just I don't want to mess with the camera today. I just want to make this one part look as nice as possible. Like, it wasn't about anything but my relationship between me and the art that I'm doing. And I honestly, I was so tired at that point. I was like, I don't care about that. I just want to I just want to do the best work I possibly can. So there's like one or two spots on there where, and not just that, but like there's a couple of elements on the front fender that look like sponsor stickers where it's it's like there's not that there's nothing interesting about it, but we've seen this process played out before. It's basically done the same way as the 383 cubic inch, and I didn't feel like I felt like I might have been wasting time. This job was already so big, and the video was already going to be so long, and I'm trying to speed things up here without making it look like a chase scene in a Benny Hill video. Now, these are some good shots here. I'm happy for that. But again, in the end, I need to make this work look as best as possible. And man, if I have to think about where the camera's pointing or where it isn't pointing, it's hard enough to get into a groove. Once you've been working for a few minutes, if you're lucky, 30 minutes if it's standard. Now you're in the groove and you're moving around and you have a real command of the paint, a real command of the brush, and the last thing you want is to have that interrupted because you forgot to hit play, or you forgot to move the camera, or you forgot this, or you forgot that, and eventually, right for me right now, I was past the point of caring. But I'm glad I got as much as I did, because this is doing this much extensive camera work is new. It's a new frontier for me. Because even if everything goes right, you still have to edit stuff. You may notice some cuts where there's a cut, there's a stroke, there's a cut, there's a stroke. I'm editing out all of the time that it takes to palette the brush to get the paint to be the right consistency, or a mistake that had to get fixed. And here at the end, this is the beauty shot here. I used the powder lines template over the two headlights, obviously over here above the V8. You can see the chalk lines. And once that's dry, those just wipe off. You don't need any water or anything. Yep, we added some finish flags to the 383 CI. All through this project, I was coordinating with the owner. Did I forget anything? Is this supposed to be over here? I want to make sure about placement, and that's really the key. The communication between what the person wants. And hats off to the owners. This is one of those nights where I was like, no camera, I just want to paint. And it looks like it felt like it was fun, and it was. I really enjoyed doing the Noble Farms on the rear fender. But yeah, it was great customers, especially in the communication aspect of things. And that's the most important thing. A job like this only looks that good when everybody's on the same page, everybody's happy, and they take my advice. I try to do what they want. I steer them in the right direction. So there it is. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll talk to you guys soon.